Good morning and welcome. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our opening hymn, which can be found in the gray hymnal or probably up there, either one, number 186, Grieve Not Your Heart. Whoops, something. No, there was a... Grieve not your heart for want of place, nor yearn for easy praise, but fit yourself some task to do, and well employ your days. From wise and foolish, both alike, we should all try to
Good morning, and welcome to UUCS, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem. I'm Brenna Norville, and I will be your celebrant today. We welcome homilist storyteller Greg Gregg to the pulpit this morning, sharing his story of Pious Pete. Come into this place of peace and let its silence heal your spirit. Come into this place of memory and let its history warm your soul. Come into this place of prophecy and power and let its vision change your heart. Here in this place of peace, may we find hope. Here in this place of connection, may we find life-giving community. Here in this place of rest, let the unrest of our hearts turn us toward justice. Here in this space made sacred by memories of connection, let each of us feel ourselves part of the new that grows from the old in the spiraling unity of years. And in the spirit of connection, let us join in saying our affirmation. Love is our doctrine, compassion is our way. Here we seek to create a joyful home for free religious exploration, to build a community of caring fellowship, nurture the hopes, and serve the needs of our world.
This is a song I've shared with you before. The words are just so on point to Greg's homily this morning. So I would invite you, even though they're not up there, copyright rules, you'll hear the refrain a few times, and as you catch it, or if you've already learned it, please join me on those refrains. To be humble, to be kind, it is a giving of the peace in your mind. To a stranger, to a friend, to give in such a way that has no end. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other and nothing more. To be bold, to be brave, it the heart can still be saved, and the darkness can't come quick. The danger's in the anger and the hanging on to it. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other and nothing more. Tell me what it is that you see, a world that's full of endless possibility, and heroes don't look like they used to, they look like you do. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other and nothing more. We are how we treat each other and nothing more. We are how we treat each other.
Each morning, we must hold out the chalice of our being to receive, to carry, and to give back. Each week, we light 3 chalices. The first is for this congregation, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem. We light our second chalice for our partner church in Szymanfalva, Transylvania, Romania. And we light our third chalice for our children and youth in lifespan religious education and in our world at large. Let us sing the flame into life.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
Compassion and Gratitude, 2 acrostic poems. Compassion by Alison Warwick. Come as you are, open mind, mindful, participate, appreciate differences, show interest, sympathy, introspection, oneness needed. Gratitude by Grace. Going so quickly through life, running from place to place, aware of so little around me. Taking time to play is foreign. I find I have succumbed to the pressure, thinking of only what is on my list, until a moment shakes me, delivering a message, and joy and be grateful, for you are blessed. Compassion and gratitude is our way.
Good morning. My name is Kathy, and I'm a Lifelines lay minister. I'm happy to be here today. We have one concern written by Sarah. Saddened to learn of the death of Caroline Bridges, a member of UUCS and social justice advocate. Love to you, Caroline. I also have one for my father. He is living with someone who I believe has developed some form of Alzheimer's or dementia, and I just need to light a candle for him to help him navigate that situation. And finally, we light one candle for all the joys and concerns that we hold in our hearts, and they're unspoken and unwritten. At Lifelines Lay Ministry, we are here to, when you need a supportive listener or a helping hand, you can contact us at the email address on the screen, lifelineslayministry@uusalem.org. Also today, it's the second Sunday of the month, which is Compassionate Connections. So after the service today, if you need someone to listen or to help, just come up to the front and participate in Compassionate Connections. Thank you. We also have a therapy dog today. Thank you.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be whole. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be
The reading that I'm going to read is actually a litany. So when I indicate to you, I would like you to say, "It will not matter." Let's try it. You ready? It will not matter. Thank you. Nah. If recognizing the interdependence of all life, we strive to build community, the strength we gather will be our salvation. If you are black and I am white, if you are female and I am male, if you are older and I am younger, if you are progressive and I am conservative, if you are straight and I am gay, if you are a Christian and I am Jewish, if we join spirits as brothers and sisters, the pain of our aloneness will be lessened, and that does matter. In this spirit, we build community and move toward restoration.
I hope you're more ready than I am. My name is Greg, and today I want to do a little something different. My ideas about spirituality, at least the ones that impacted me most, came from my father. Living in rural Alaska in the early 1950s, what meant there was no TV, and we had one radio station. So sometimes my father would recite poetry to us, to my mother, my brother, and me, as an entertainment on the long winter nights. I think one particular poem preconditioned me to be wary of the fundamentalist spiritual path. I found it so compelling that, like my father, I learned it. You're going to be treated to that. In no way do I wish to offend anyone, but today I'll be talking about fundamentalist evangelical Christian belief and the mandate to convert others. As Unitarians, we respect their right to those beliefs and to their right to choose their own spiritual path, but it is not a path that many of us can follow. I got my teaching certification around 1990, and almost as soon as I got my certification to teach, I was suddenly inundated with pairs of well-dressed young men bringing me the word. It occurred to me that they must have some kind of insider information about new teachers, and since my degree was in biology, the topics they wanted to clarify for me were most often creationism and evolution. They came prepared with pamphlets on creationism, which I went through with them, pointing out the errors and inconsistencies, which may have been a mistake. But at the time I thought belief was inferior to knowledge in capturing the minds of people. They set me straight on that. I found that even if you point out the inconsistency between the scientific evidence and the tenets of special creation, or the evident disparity between the teachings of Christ and the wrathful God of the Old Testament, they're not able to see those discrepancies. And because I question their truth, it generally does not take long to convince the missionaries that I am a spawn of the devil. They have every right to their belief, but as an educator, I could not bring their message to my classroom, nor could I accept the inconsistency between their belief and their politics. I think there's a problem that arises because we identify with our beliefs. I plead guilty. I excuse myself, however, because I do not see those who reject my spiritual path as rejecting me personally. I just assume they aren't as crazy as I am. I understand that we are not the spiritual path that we follow, and those who reject it are not necessarily rejecting us. So the cautionary tale I will tell today is about what can happen when we make the mistake of thinking those who reject our path are persecuting us personally. This is one of the poems my father recited to us. It's by Robert Service, and it's called The Ballad of Pious Pete. I tried to refine that neighbor of mine. Honest to God, I did. I grieved for his fate, and early and late I watched over him like a kid. I bore his abuse. I made him excuse in every way that I could. I camped on his trail. I swore to prevail, and I plotted and planned for his good. By day and by night, I strove in men's sight to gather him into the fold, with precept and prayer, in hope and despair, in hunger and hardship and cold. I followed him into the Guineas of sin. I sat where the sirens sit. In the shade of the pole, for the sake of his soul, I strove with the powers of the pit. I followed him down to the scrofulous town. I dragged him from dissolute brawls. But I killed the galoot when he started to shoot electricity into my walls. God knows what I did. he should seek to be rid of one who would save him from shame. God knows what I bore that day that he swore and bade me make tracks from his claim. I started to tell of the horrors of hell, when sudden his eyes lit like coals. "Oh, chuck it," says he. "Don't persecute me with your cant and your saving of souls." I swear I was mild as I'd be with a child. But he called me the son of a slut, and grabbing his gun, with a leap and a run, he threatened my face with a butt. What could I do? I leave it to you. With curses he harried me forth. Then he was alone, and I was alone, and over us menaced the north. His cabin was near. I could see, I could hear it, but between us there rippled the creek, and all summer through, with a rancor that grew, he would pass me but never would speak. Then a shuddery breath, like the coming of death, swept down from the peaks far away. The water was still, the twilight was chill, the sky was a tatter of gray. Swift came the big cold, and opal and gold, the lights of the witches arose. The frost tyrant clinched, and the valley was cinched by the stark and cadaverous snows. Each tree was like lace where the starbeams could chase. Each leaf was a jewel agleam. A soft white hush lapped the northland and wrapped us round in a crystalline dream. So still I could hear quite loud in my ear the swish of the pinions of time. So bright I could see as clear as could be the wings of God's angels a-shine. As I read in the book, I'd oftentimes look at his cabin just over the creek. Ah, me, it was sad, and evil and bad, two neighbors who never would speak. Yet I knew that full well, like the devil in hell, he was hatching out early and late a system to bear through the frost-spangled air the warm crimson waves of his hate. I knew that he nursed a malice accursed, like the blast of a winnowing flame. I pleaded aloud for a shield, for a shroud. Oh God, then calamity came. Mad? If I'm mad, then you too are mad. But it's all in the point of view. If you'd seen them things gallivanting on wings, all purple and green and blue, if you'd noticed them twist as they mounted in hiss like scorpions dim in the dark, if you'd watched them rebound with a horrible sound, spitefully spitting a spark, if you'd watched it with dread as it hissed to your bed, that thing with the feelers that crawls, you'd have settled the brute that attempted to shoot electricity into your walls. Well, some, they were blue, and they slithered right through. They were silent, squashy, and round. And others were green. They were wiggly and lean, and they writhed with so hateful a sound. My blood seemed to freeze. I fell to my knees. My face was a white splash of dread. Oh, the green and the blue, they were gruesome to view. But the worst of them all was the red. They came through the door. They came through the floor. They came through the moss crevice logs. They were savage and dire and whiskered with fire, and they bickered like Malamute dogs. They ravened in rings like iniquitous things. They gulped down the green and the blue, and I crinkled with fear whene'er they drew near. As nearer and nearer they drew, and then came the crown of horror's grim crown, a creature so loathsomely red, Each eye was a pin that shot out and in as squid-like it oozed to my bed. So softly it crept, with those feelers that swept and quivered like fine copper wire. Its belly was white with a sulphurous light. Its jaws were drooling afire. It came and it came. I could breathe of its flame, but never a wink could I look. Then I thrust in its maw the font of the law and fended it off with the book. I was weak. Oh, so weak. But I thrilled at its shriek as wildly it fled in the night. Then death-like I lay till the dawn of the day. Was ever so welcome the light? I loaded my gun at the rise of the sun. To his cabin so softly I slunk. My neighbor was there in the frost-frightened air, all wrapped in a robe in his bunk. It outlined his bones. It muffled his moans as feebly he twisted about. His gums were all black. His lips seemed to crack. His teeth, they were loosening out. 'Twas a death's head that peered through that tangle of beard. Was a face I shall never forget. Sunk eyes full of woe, and they troubled me so with their pleading and anguish. And yet, as I rested my gaze in misty amaze on that scurvy, degenerate wreck, I thought of the thing with the dragonfly wings, and I rested my gun on his neck. He gave out a cry. It was more like the sigh of a perishing Malamute. And he said unto me, I'm converted, says he. For Christ's sake, Peter, don't shoot. Well, they're taking me out with an escort about and under a sergeant's care. And I'm humble indeed, from cuffed to a Swede who thinks he's a millionaire. But it's all gospel true what I'm telling to you, up there where the shadow falls, that I settled Sam Newt when he started to shoot electricity into my walls. When I was young, I saw this story as a story about cabin fever, something that's since come to be known as seasonal affective disorder, and people in the lower 48 can get it too. But now I see it as kind of a tale about spiritual stalking, and it also demonstrates the dangers of thinking that when someone does not accept your belief, that they're persecuting you. I think this poem informed my spiritual path and in a way led me to Unitarian Universalism. Long after I first heard it, I was instructed that the fundamentalist love of God requires acceptance of Jesus as my personal Savior, and the Bible is the infallible Word of God. That unless I could accept these things, I was destined for eternal damnation. Because I questioned that requirement, it apparently meant I rejected the evangelists, which I did not, and that my rejection was a form of persecution. In their defense, they usually left with the threat that they would pray for my soul even if I was damned to eternal hell. And I was never threatened physically for my lack of belief, but I always knew what could happen under the wrong conditions because of Pious Pete. My questions and scientific arguments were not perceived as debate, but as personal attack. To be clear, I believe strongly in the message of Christ, just as I believe strongly in the message of Buddha. The message of love, community, and the oneness of all is a path worth following. But the unconditional love of Christ is not the message I receive from the ultimatums of the evangelists. For me, there's a large gap, a large hole in that kind of love, the gap between the command to love even your enemies and the love that threatens eternal damnation for the lack of belief. I fear many Christians are denied the possibility of universal love by the righteousness of their belief. To grow spiritually, we must all make changes in the way we think. But few non-believers want believers to drag them down this beautiful path that they have found, and vice versa. Our spiritual journeys will either lead us to change or they won't. Either way, when we recognize the sacred in one another, we find we are all still worthy of love. Now, for me, this poem invites a question about one of my greatest spiritual challenges. It's in these perilous times, the ballad of Pious may have had a lesson for me. I have been bewildered by my fellow Americans who cling to the belief in the benevolent capitalist economic system, including the political parties that serve that system and a canon of lies that support it, instead of democracy. I came to view the fundamentalist conservative part of the population as trespassing against all the values that I live by, and against the democracy that gives us all a voice. They appear to live with the fear that liberal ideas and economic policies would rob them of their freedom and take what little or much they have. Like Pete, they have imagined a liberal intent to do them harm. It does not matter that the reality is based on unsubstantiated belief or that their fear of the liberal intent is unfounded. Their imaginations make the threat real, and like Pete, in some instances, leads them to violence against the innocent. The challenge comes from the Lord's Prayer. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. The question I'm forced to consider is whether the conservative beliefs and actions that threaten the physical safety of liberals, women, school children, immigrants, minority groups, and even threaten American democracy can be forgiven without a reflexive desire for retribution. I do not think the conservative Christian delusion is intentional, though denial of fact often makes it seem to be. My experience tells me that from the spiritual viewpoint of the fundamentalist, belief has higher value than fact. I have to accept also that self-defense is not criminal even when motivated by delusion and belief in lies. How can I condemn the blind for their blindness? I think the way we should respond to the trespass against our community, our nation, and our planet should be just, compassionate, and, if possible, forgiving. For those with universalist values, the spiritual test is forgiving. Can we forgive the deluded as we would have them forgive us for the real or imagined transgressions they believe we have committed against them? I need not trust or condone their actions, but forgiveness is an act of love, and for me it has become a test of my spirit. I thank you for listening, and may life be with us and in us. Now's the time for meditation and medication. Sit erect now, straightening the spine. If you wish, you can tuck your chin in a bit. This is a posture of alertness. You can leave your eyes open or close them if you wish. If they're open, focus on some point ahead of you, and keep this point of focus if you can. Allow your body to relax. Now notice the sounds around us. Pay attention to the large space of this awareness as the sounds drift in and out of it. Sink into your body now, relaxed and comfortable. Sense your breathing as your chest rises and falls. Cool air in, warm air out. Allow the breath to happen by itself, in and out. Feel the growing peacefulness within as we relax into this space. Now, think of someone, past or present, who really loves you. Maybe it's a family member or a dear friend or a lover. Feel that love. Sink into the feeling of being cared about. And savor the feeling you have in return. Let us feel our thankfulness for the love we receive and the love we give. Whoop. I'm buzzing.
We support UUCS through our pledges, our time, and connections with one another. We support the Salem community through donations to the Marion Polk Food Share, and for the month of July, the Oregon Black Pioneers. Please send your checks to UUCS or visit the website to donate. Thank you for maintaining the community of UUCS and for helping the wider community of Salem.
Last night I had the strangest dream I ever had before. I dreamed the world had all agreed to put an end to war. I dreamed there was a mighty room filled with women and men, and the paper they were signing said they'd never fight again. And when the paper all was signed and 1,000,000 copies made, they all joined hands and circled round, and grateful prayers were made. And the people on those streets below were dancing round and round, with swords and guns and uniforms all scattered on the ground. Last night I had the strangest dream I ever had before. I dreamed the world had all agreed to put an end to war.
Next Sunday, I am not entitled to my opinions. Come join us as Bob Muir will be the homilist. News of the community. You can keep up to date with UUCS news by email, on Facebook, hot topics on news, and the UUCS Weekly Friday Flash. We take the light from our chalice, lighting the social justice lantern as a symbolic reminder of the light and justice that we carry out into the world. As we extinguish the chalices, let us hear these words by Theodore Parker. Be ours a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. Its temple, all space. Its shrine, the good heart. Its creed, all truth. Its ritual, works of love. Its profession of faith, divine living.
Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing hymn number 300 in the gray hymnal or up there on the board. With heart and mind and voice and hand, may we this time and place transcend and make our purpose understood. A mortal search for mortal good, a firm commitment to the goal of justice, freedom, peace for all. A mind that's free to seek the truth, a mind that's free in age and youth, to choose a path no threat impedes, wherever light of conscience leads. Our martyrs died so we could be a church where every mind is free. A heart that's kind, a heart whose search makes love the spirit of our church, where we can grow and each one's gift is sanctified and spirits lift, where every door is open wide for all who choose to step inside.
Let us join with our community members, guests, family, and friends saying these words together. May faith in the spirit of life, hope for the community of earth, and love for the sacred in one another be ours now and in all the days to come. Blessed be.